Learning a new language is hard. Luckily for those who want to learn a new language, there are a lot of mobile apps to help them along their journey. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, Rosetta Stone, and many others simplify learning into small bites that can be completed at your leisure. To be honest, there's no time in history where it's been easier to learn a new language. This is true for the languages we speak, and it's also true for the languages we code. In the digital age in which we live, it is essential to learn the language of the devices that dominate our time. That language is computer programming. Now, in reality, computer programming itself is not a language, but a host of languages, such as C, Java, C++, C#, BASIC, PHP, and Perl, to name a few. For many people, the idea of learning how to write computer programs is overwhelming. Each language has its own complex set of rules and syntax that need to be mastered. For those who've had no exposure to the world of computer programming, these intricacies act as a barrier. I have been interested in programming since the mid-90s. Though I've only taken a few official courses in programming, I've learned and experimented with many languages. As a technology educator, I've helped students gain an interest in and develop skills in programming. I believe it's important that everyone understand the fundamentals of computer programming. Just like there are apps that help you learn Spanish, French, and Klingon, there are apps that can help people of all ages learn about programming. We call these mobile microworlds for computer programming. Seymour Papert, the father of microworlds for computer programming, defined them as a deliberately simplified computational environment that allows students to explore ideas that are not normally demonstratable in an average classroom setting. Basically, a microworld is a simplified programming environment that is used to help students learn the basics of computer programming. These learning environments are highly visual, interactive, and often include gaming elements. Papert created the first microworld called Logo in the 1970s. In Logo, students would write simple programs on a computer, which would control a small robotic turtle that drew shapes in the real world. Today, microworlds for computer programming exist in many formats and on many platforms. In the past 2 to 3 years, there has been a shift from the PC-based microworlds to mobile ones. Just search any app store using terms like Learn to Code, and you will find many examples of mobile microworlds. Some of these are aimed at children and take a general approach to teaching programming concepts. Other apps are more for teens and adults. These ones cover more complex concepts and focus on specific programming languages. Those intended for children with no programming experience at all include apps like Robotson, Algorithm City, Lightbot Hour, and PI Learn to Code. These are very game-centric and only cover basic principles of programming. In these games, players create sets of simple instructions to cause a character to move, speak, jump, and generally interact with the world. Most of these use a block-type programming where users click and drag blocks that represent programming instructions. Generally speaking, as these games are played, players become more familiar with programming logic. The more complex microworlds such as Katamari, Grasshopper, Programming Hero, Mimo, and SoloLearn are targeted at older individuals who want to learn more specific programming languages. Many of these apps are very knowledge-centric and quiz players on concepts of programming. This involves reading text that explains concepts such as inputs, outputs, variables, lists, and loops. These microworlds have programming opportunities embedded into the app itself so users can get hands-on experience. Some employ block-type programming like the simpler examples previously mentioned, but most involve real coding. They still have gaming elements such as trophies, levels, and currency, but there's no storyline, and you wouldn't easily mistake this for an actual game. One of my favorites in this category is Grasshopper. Initially designed by Google, it gives users a crash course in JavaScript. The lessons are interactive and teach programming concepts while giving users hands-on programming experience. Notifications encourage users to return, and the ability to play and experiment within the coding sections is very helpful. Analysis time. All of the apps we've explored are free downloads, but most are not free. Some, like Algorithm City, have ads that you can conveniently pay $1.29 to remove. Others, like Katamari, have an in-game currency that you can either wait to accumulate to unlock more lessons, or you can just go to the store and buy the coins with real money. A few of them have subscription services like Mimo, and completely lock you out of anything until you've subscribed. Generally speaking, the apps that cost more have more features, more content, and help users move beyond just general programming knowledge. The old adage is probably true. You get what you pay for. Unless it's Grasshopper. That's totally free, and it's an awesome resource. From an educational standpoint, the value of the resource greatly outweighs the minimal cost. Having played with a number of these apps, as an educator and a programming enthusiast, I would say they have high educational potential. The basic versions are fun and help young kids grasp concepts from loops to logic. As we move up in complexity, the microworlds provide project-based learning opportunities that are situated in realistic programming environments. The content in these apps are robust, and many offer multiple courses on languages and relevant skill sets. Because much of this learning will take place individually, learners are benefited by interacting with an online community of learners. The more advanced microworlds, like SoloLearn, have community built right into the app. And this is something Grasshopper is currently working on. I would personally recommend mobile microworld format to teachers in any grade. I really think there is great value in getting young children interested in programming, and that is exactly what microworlds do. I also think they help more advanced students develop skills and knowledge on their own, giving them a serious boost. Microworlds have existed for several decades on computers, so an important question is, does mobility really make a difference? Can I just get on a computer and have the same experience, or does being on a device add something new? From my experience investigating them, I would have to answer yes. I do think mobile microworlds have something different to offer. Let me explain why. I think microworlds on mobile devices increase both access and exposure to computer programming education. Mobile devices are abundant, and many people have more than one device in a home. In many places around the world where it's hard to find a computer, there are lots of phones. Moving microworlds to a mobile environment ensures that more people will have the chance to learn how to code. I also think mobile devices are perfectly suited for the game-like nature of microworlds. Kids play tons of games on phones and tablets. What if those games could teach them something meaningful? This is exactly what mobile microworlds do. The click-and-drag nature of touchscreen devices fits so well into the block-type simplified programming in many microworlds. From an educational standpoint, having the microworlds on mobile devices allows schools to take programming out of the lab. If a school has a bring-your-own-device policy, it would be easy to have students download a free microworld and give it a whirl. Another feature I love about having microworlds on a mobile device is that you're no longer tethered to a computer desk. In this age of DIY learning, I can learn what I want, when I want, and where I want. Learning is not segregated to specific locations or times. The verdict. Mobile microworlds are a positive trend in the mobile education market. I don't think they outright replace microworlds on computers, but they do add something new. They do serve as a great way not only to get people interested in coding, but also to give them real tangible skills in specific languages. In the 21st century, it is essential to learn new languages to stay relevant in the world in which we live. And probably the most important one to learn is the language of our devices. Mobile microworlds will help us do just that.